Many of us have heard and maybe even said, back when I was a boy or a girl, or in the good old days, and we have this picture of a time in our lives or in our life as a church or a nation when things were good, when things seemed to be the way they ought to be, when they made sense. And we have this picture of what makes the good old days good. The story for Sunday's sermon from the book of Joshua is something like that. It's the story of when Israel moved from being a wandering, nomadic people to being a people established on the land, when they became a nation, if you will. The story is a looking back, kind of an idealized picture, like maybe some of our stories about George Washington chopping down the cherry tree, or family stories that are mostly true but embellished a bit. This story is an idealized picture of the beginnings of Israel. But when you start looking at this story, when we start looking at this story, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that makes the good old days good for Israel? And what does that mean for their life today? And the same question for us. What is it that makes the good old days good, and how does that inform how we live our lives as disciples of Jesus? So, we'll be looking back, but also looking at where we are today, and even perhaps looking forward. This is such a beautiful day. It's hard to think about all of the stresses and all of the challenges that all of us are facing now, and some of you more than others. But we are mindful also as we do that like Israel, like the woman Rahab, who's the center of this story, we can look back and remember how God has not abandoned us, how God has been with us through all these difficult times. This coming Friday, a week from today, we will have movie night here at the church. I believe it's at 7 o'clock, and it's a time together, watch a film, safely distant of course, and to pick up materials for Sunday school for our children. Remind you that on October the 4th, which is 2 weeks, 2 Sundays from now, we will begin limited in-person worship at 11 o'clock in the sanctuary, and then we will continue our 9 o'clock outdoor service in the in the gym, in the Great Hall. For both services, we need you to register. Call ahead. It has to be done. That's part of life today. Please do call the church office, or you can do it online. But that will happen October 4th, and we look forward to that time of being together physically. May your day and weekend be filled with light and joy, and I look forward to worshiping with you one way or another this coming Sunday.